this caravan. Shadows settle a place to rest. Our minds are troubled by the emptiness. I felt like an alien. Like I never really had air. Like the earth beneath me never really held me. I felt like an alien. Like my words made no sense, like I wasn't really supposed to be here. I wanted arms to hold me. I wanted my pain to be held. I now know I was never really an alien. I simply wanted humanness and depth. I'm feeling nervous being so vulnerable, but I've been reflecting and I think that like creating a space where I can be vulnerable online, yeah, I guess that's something that I want to do. You do find comfort online sometimes and in like people who have been through similar things to you and validation. And then I also think on top of that, it's like trying to create a more real space online because we do spend so much time online, but it feels like a lot of it is still like highlight reels and we're not being honest about like other areas of our life. So I think the way I want to show up online is to share a bit of everything and share like the human experience and not shy away from it and not shy away from feeling deeply or being who I truly am. And I guess that sometimes means like sharing my honest thoughts and the things that I'm going through. So what a better way to do it? I have a little drawing going and I'm hoping to like paint it as I speak. I'm hoping that's going to make it a bit easier for me. Yeah, I don't know if it's like the healthiest thing to like share online, but like as I was saying, I think that it is part of the human experience. Like I'm so grateful for the people that have like been vulnerable and shared themselves online because I know how much it gave me and it made me feel less alone. I also want to create a space where I can feel more deeply, and I think the reason for that is because I do envision a world where we are feeling more deeply and we are more honest about our experiences, and I'm just going to try and be part of that now because that's the world that I envision. And yeah, what a better way to make that a reality than to actually create that space myself. Today I've been feeling a lot. I think I've said my biggest no that I've ever said, and it was actually really hard. I sometimes you think that like doing the right thing for yourself is going to feel good, but actually I ended up having a panic attack. So yeah, that's something that I'm learning too. Sometimes decisions that aren't easy aren't necessarily going to feel great and they're going to come up with a whole lot of emotions. I went for a walk by the sea this evening and I started walking along the sand. I could see the stars and I was just walking along the sand and I was singing to myself and really just trying to feel deeply. And I also just started dancing while like looking around and seeing can anybody see me, but it felt like such a great way to feel what I was feeling, and I was feeling really held. I almost felt like I was just I remember when I went the retreat that I went to that I have a video on. I remember this feeling where people were singing for you as you were like going and throwing this thing in the fire that we had put our energy in, and everybody got a chance to like walk to the fire and kneel down and put the thing in the fire. And while you were doing that, while you were giving it to the fire, whatever you wanted to give to the fire, people were like in the room singing and it felt so held. It was such a like beautiful, it really felt like just being held by a village. It felt like that, and I had never felt that before. But when I was doing that, when I was singing to myself on the beach and dancing, it felt like I was holding myself, like I was being my own village. That was so lovely because I really struggle with like holding myself and being there for myself and instead being reliant on like other people being there for me. And it can feel so scary to find yourself alone and having to deal with like really strong, difficult emotions alone. But yeah, that felt like a beautiful, pivotal moment. And I feel like I found the mother in me that was like able to hold me through the difficult thing that I was going through. So I was walking along the beach and I started walking back. And when I started walking back, I seen all my footsteps along the beach and they were like the main ones that just stood out. And I really had a moment of like, I left a path for myself to remember how to walk back home. Obviously, it's like so metaphorical, but it felt really lovely and it felt really meaningful. Because sometimes it does feel like things happen at the right time as you need them and your brain makes up meanings to them. And I don't know if like your brain's just making that up or if it's actually the message that's supposed to be sent to you. But it felt really meaningful and I think that that's all that matters. Yeah, it felt really special to me. But yeah, I feel like I feel so much and I'm quite sensitive and I've always been that way. And like as an adult, I'm not seeing anything wrong with that, but growing up, of course, like during the time that I was growing up and like during the time that I was growing up and before that, like that's not something that was like valued. We weren't really like comfortable with sensitivity or anything like that. So like I've always been told like, oh, you're too sensitive, whereas now I don't see it as a bad thing, but I think I feel so deeply and because of that too I have such deep emotions and I feel them and they're with me. And yeah, I think it still sort of like freaks people out to like feel so strongly and feel so deeply. But I'm trying to accept that part of me more and to like put myself in places and in spaces with people that can accept that and can make space for that because there is nothing wrong with that. And now I can see that it is just a way of being. And yeah, I guess back to the people pleasing as well as part of like, for me, the deep sensitivity that I feel sort of feels like it sometimes holds hands with my like people pleasing aspect. And yeah, I think for like the longest time I've just said yes to everything and haven't listened to like what I really wanted. I think to the point where when people would ask me what do you want, I wouldn't know because I was like so out of touch with what I want. And I was so focused on like what everybody else wanted and like making other people feel good and putting myself in the back seat to keep other people comfortable. And yeah, I guess I'm finding myself in a place now where I can say no. I can say no a lot easier and be myself. And I do think to a certain extent, people who have like dealt with you on like your people pleaser stage, when you start to like change up, it's kind of like, oh, what's going on there? Like it's a lot for them too. And I don't think everybody takes it the best when you start to like say no and be more stern. And yeah, I think for people that have known you for so long in that sort of state of being, they kind of take it hard because you're no longer like saying yes to everything. And that's okay. I think it's okay and it's okay to like step away from people and also just take time to yourself. And I think I often feel selfish taking the time to myself and saying no. But at the same time, when you've always been people pleasing and you've like never said yes to yourself, I think it's fair enough to take this time for yourself. And not only is it fair, but I think it's so important because it's so healing to like really figure out who you are. And I think in that way you can like show up better in relationships. Yeah, I think I have like so much anger and resentment like for so many reasons, but some of them are from people pleasing. And yeah, I've been feeling like a lot of anger and a lot of rage lately. And I think it's because I'm actually feeling all of the things that I've been through and the things that I'm going through. And again, like anger and rage are seen as such negative emotions, but to me it really feels like part of the process. And there's actually not many outlets to like feel that anger. And so far all I'm finding is that like I'm like taking myself out for runs. And yeah, that helps with the anger, or like screaming obviously in places where like I won't be heard. And then like I know there's other things like sports and stuff. I haven't tried anything like that yet, but I think I'll give it a shot eventually. But I also think when like it comes to women feeling anger and rage, it's like even less acceptable than for men. And it definitely doesn't feel as like many places for women to feel it, you know, because for men growing up, like even like now, like recently I heard it, just like when boys are growing up, it's like, well, you know, you can just do the sport and take your emotions out, you know, through like doing fighting or whatever. Whereas it feels like there's nothing really like that for women. And of course, like women can go off and do those sports, but it's not as like encouraged, and there is no like outlet for women to like feel the anger and feel the rage. So I actually think that's why like a lot of women in my life that are like older, they're just passive aggressive because they have all that anger, and it's just there all the time, and the only thing they can do with it is like just spill it out here and there. Yeah, I need to find like I think more outlets to feel that like anger and that rage, and to feel those like emotions that are like absolutely normal and like part of feeling the pain that you've been through and like feeling the difficult things that you've been through. I'm grateful that I have that in me and that like I find vulnerability important. Yeah. And I think for so many of us for so long, like if you have felt anger growing up or if you've felt anger as an adult, like so many of us just take it out on ourselves, which that's not like fair or ideal. Yeah. And that makes me really sad when I think about it. Like so many of us taking the anger out on ourselves on things that aren't like ours to hold. It wasn't ours. That like can be put somewhere, you know? And like now I'm finding more and more outlets for like different things, and I think like creativity can be such a good one, and like painting can be such a good one for like all sorts of emotions. I'm really enjoying that, but I'm also still really scared of the paintbrush, and I'm really scared of like scared. I'm still really scared of like doing the art. I'm still very like new to it and nervous, and yeah, but I'm trying to just like let myself be and not like judge myself. And I think that's like such a beautiful way to process feelings and emotions and everything that you've been through is like, yeah, through creativity. For me, when I'm feeling my feelings through art, it can also be like a safe kind of way as well to feel it. It can be like, you know, you can kind of build up to feeling it too, especially if it's not something comfortable that you're like used to feeling. I find that for myself, it's like an easier, not an easier, but it's like a more, like it like slowly allows you to feel it rather than just bam, here's a like massive thing to like feel. I think it's like, yeah, it allows you to process it in like maybe smaller chunks, but also not all the time because sometimes it feels really intense, and that's also like great and powerful. And yeah, I guess as well when I'm like feeling alone, yeah, I guess I feel alone a lot lately, and like I'm trying to like find company in myself rather than like externally. But at the same time, I find myself, I do find a lot of like comfort in nature, and I do find company in nature just by like the elements of the earth. Even when I'm feeling alone and like I'm processing a lot of things by myself, I don't feel completely alone because I have nature and I'm part of this earth, which like I feel like for the longest time I didn't have that connection. I did and I didn't, but it would have been helpful to have that I think when I was younger too, like to like a deeper the deep level that I have it now. Yeah, I think when I'm feeling alone, I'm able to connect more to the elements, which makes me feel less alone in the world. And of course, like a support system is also so important. But I seen this reel that I wanted to share with you. It really resonated with me. So it went like this. When you feel attached, tell it to the fire. He's the great master of transmutation. When you feel stagnant, tell water. She will teach you about movement and flow. When you understand nothing, speak to the air. It will bring you to the here and now, and clarity will come. If you want to give up, talk to Mother Earth. She knows a thing or two about death and rebirth. When you feel like your heart is broken, talk to the moon. She will shine a light into the darkness. If you feel powerless, speak to the sun. He will reignite your strength with his warmed, unconditional love. And it's by this page here. I don't know if like they created it or whatever, but that's where I got the reel from. But yeah, that really resonates with me because it makes me feel like all the difficulties that I have, I'm still connected at all times, and I'm actually not alone, because I have this sense of like, I'm so alone. And I'm like the only person in the world that's going through this and nobody understands me. But at the same time, I think having that connection to like the elements, they're always there for you. So it sort of helps, I think, with that feeling. Yeah, I guess I'm like trying to accept that going through this difficult time is just part of life. And yeah, I'm having to accept that this is where I'm at. And I find a lot of pressure because like it feels like the world is moving so fast. But at the same time, this is where I'm at, and I'm feeling my feelings, and I think that hopefully in time I'll see. Yeah, I guess it's powerful. I guess like healing is powerful, and I think when you're going through it and you're going through such deep emotions and you're like processing a lot, and if you feel set back by that while the world is moving so fast, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I feel you, because I feel like that all the time. So yeah, I'm hoping to like create more space for myself and more space for the people that I love in my life, and yeah, be more vulnerable and honor that and not look at that as like weakness, because I think we often look at like vulnerability and feeling these strong feelings as like weakness, but it's actually not. It's like such strength, and I think coming out the other side of it, it's going to help me a lot more than if I was not feeling. And yeah, if I was just trying to know myself all the time. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to do here is just like create a space where vulnerability is normal. And I'm hoping to like see that more in the world, where like talking about feelings is normal and like talking about difficulties is normal. And like, again, especially because we spend so much time in the online world, I think we kind of need to see sides of everything a bit more, because we're seeing sides of some stuff, but maybe not others as much. So I'm hoping to just like add to this space in whatever way feels right for me. So yeah, thank you for being here, and take care.